So I'm currently here at the Hamtramck Hotel in my bed, and this place really has that lived-in quality to it that makes you feel like it genuinely holds on to the memories of the people that stay here. At least, that's what it feels like.
There's no other museum like this in the country. We are dedicated to not only collecting the stories and histories and experiences of Arab Americans, but sharing that with the general international audience through our collections, our exhibits, and our programs. So we have Arab Americans that come visit us from all over the country, and they walk in and they see the objects and stories on our walls, and they say, wow, I feel like I'm at home here. I feel like I know these people on the walls because they look like my own family or sound like my own family. So that's really important for us to be a place for Arab Americans to come and share their stories and see stories like them. But then also we get a lot of people here who are exposed to so much misinformation about Arabs and Arab Americans that they come here and they learn so much, and they're exposed to so many accurate things about the community. And so we have this dual rule, and we take both of them very seriously. You know, many scholars have talked about this bifurcation of the community identity and visible because they're perceived as white. Arab Americans are perceived as white. They're not counted as a separate race on the U.S. Census, so people don't really know how many Arab Americans there are, that kind of thing. But then there's also this hyper-visibility where Arab Americans, because of events of like September 11, 2001, and also previously with U.S. Foreign policy and economic actions, military actions in Arab countries, that Arabs themselves in the United States are hyper-visible in the media, hyper-visible in political rhetoric, yet they're also sort of invisible because we just don't know how many there are. You know, part of it is lack of accurate information, which then turns into misinformation, and that's been going on for hundreds of years, as the Arab world was always covered and written about in very Eurocentric ways that really didn't reflect the lived experiences of the people in Arab countries, and that continues to today. But then there's also part of it is also malicious misinformation, which is people trying to present Arabs in a way that matches their political ideas in order to maybe influence U.S. foreign policy or influence U.S. expansion of economics or ideas, cultural ideas in the region, in the Arab region. And so you do get this confluence of misinformation and intentional, or lack of information and intentional misinformation.
I believe in you. I believe in you, and I believe in your destiny. I believe that you are contributors to this new civilization. I believe that you have inherited from your forefathers an ancient dream, a song, a prophecy, which you can proudly lay as a gift of gratitude upon the lap of America. I believe that you can say to the founders of this great nation, here I am, a youth, a young tree whose roots were plucked from the hills of Lebanon, yet I am deeply rooted here, and I would be fruitful. And I believe that you can say to Abraham Lincoln, the blessed, Jesus of Nazareth touched your lips when you spoke, and guided your hand when you wrote, and I shall uphold all that you have said and all that you have written. I believe that you can say to Emerson and Whitham and James, in my veins runs the blood of the poets and wise men of old, and it is my desire to come to you and receive, but I shall not come with empty hands. I believe that even as your fathers came to this land to produce riches, you were born here to produce riches by intelligence, by labor. I believe that is in you to be good citizens. And what is to be good citizens? It is to acknowledge the other person's rights before asserting your own, but always to be conscious of your own. It is to be free in word and deed, but it is also to know that your freedom is subject to other person's freedom. It is to create the useful and the beautiful with your own hands, and to admire what others have created in love and with faith. It is to produce by labor and only by labor, and to spend less than you have produced, that your children may not be dependent upon the state for support when you are no more. It is to stand before the towers of New York and Washington, Chicago and San Francisco, saying in your heart, I am the descendant of a people that built Damascus and Byblos and Tyre and Sidon and Antioch, and now I am here to build with you and with a will. You should be proud of being an American, but you should also be proud that your fathers and mothers came from a land upon which God laid his gracious hand and raised his messengers.